Hey, my girls. I hope we all made it through the day. It is Tuesday night, and we are just now getting around to it because we're feeling tired. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about tonight is, when obviously constantly people are like, how are you? How are you? You pass a random stranger because we live in the South, and they're like, how's it going? Good, good, great. You never actually tell them how you feel. But then I feel like I always walk away and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm stressed. Like, I don't know. I've been having a hard time these last few months. I just feel like I constantly feel worn down. And I think it's just the season I'm in. I'm a new mom. I work full time. My husband travels out of town for work. And so it's just hard. And I think it's okay for it to be hard, but we put this pressure on ourselves of being like, we got to be okay. Like, it shouldn't be hard. But then sometimes I'm like, should it be as hard as it is? Because I just feel worn out and exhausted. So that is what we're going to talk about tonight is just feeling like we're carrying the weight of the world. Because I told my mom recently, I said, Mama, I feel like I'm carrying the weight of the world. And we shouldn't feel like that because God carries it for us. And it's so easy for us to take it all on because if you're anything like me, I'm a problem solver. If I meet you on the street and you tell me a problem, my brain is instantly trying to fix it for you. And that brings on a lot of stress and it wears you down. It does. So we're going to be in Matthew tonight, Matthew 11. We're going to start at verse 28. And it says, Then Jesus said, Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, carrying that weight of the world, carrying those heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden I give you is light. So when I first read this Bible verse, it's been several months. I even made a Facebook status about it. I was like, what the heck is a yoke? And I had to Google it, chat GPT it, all the things. And so if you don't know, a yoke is like those wooden things they put around an animal. Back in the day, I guess they still do it now, I don't know. For them to like carry, wagons and whatever else. And when you look it up, like yokes are custom made for animals. And obviously, like every size animal has a different yoke. As the animal gets bigger, like the farmer is going to have to change out the yoke. And they're designed to help them like pull these heavy wagons and equipment and whatever else easier because they couldn't do it, just by themselves. So they're like designed to fit their body to carry, kind of like if you're a mom, those baby carriers, that it takes the load off a little bit. And so God is telling us in Matthew 11, take my yoke upon you. And it says, for my yoke is easy to bear and the burden I give you is light. So the Bible study I read and studied on this, God created us all individually. We all have our own strengths. We all have our own weaknesses. We're so individual. And he has custom made his yoke for us. He made all of us. He knows what my yoke needs to look like these days, a lot bigger than it used to be, because I'm just carrying a lot and a lot of stress. But he wants us to use his custom yoke. So use what he has given us to lighten our load that we're feeling. So Jesus really rebukes us from taking on any burdens that we're not meant to carry. And I think these burdens are kind of what we view as sins a lot of times. We kind of debate back and forth, like, is it a sin to, get drunk or have sex before marriage or look at porn or be in debt or, all those little controversial things that we kind of twist and turn to fit into, today's world. And the older I get and as I become a parent, I'm realizing he put these things into place because they make our life hard. When you're in debt, we're stressed. That's one of my burdens that I'm dealing with right now. Is, that stress of being able to provide is hard. When you get drunk, you may do things that you're not proud of. You don't feel good the next day. You're not your best self because your brain isn't acting in the way that it should. When we watch evil things or say evil things, that consumes our brain and it takes away from the positive things that we focus on. And so it's all really to protect us and be a part of that yoke to help carry these burdens, because we're human, we're going to sin, we're going to have burdens, but he helps us relieve the load. If we didn't have it, it would be so much worse. Your yoke is different in every season. Like I said, as the animals grow, their yoke grows and changes with them. And I think it's important to know that. And I've really been trying to focus on that because, like I said before, I've really just been struggling because I'm like, who am I? What is my purpose? What is my path? When it was just you focus on different things. Then when you become a wife or a mom, or maybe you were in a relationship and now you're single. And so your life is changing even more. And, that your burdens are changing. So your yoke has to change in order to help take those burdens off of you. The ways we can do this, and this was part of my Bible study that I studied, is, how do we know that we're casting our burdens onto him? Like, how do we know that we're relying on his yoke and not on ourselves? Because it's so easy to take it all on ourselves and think that you're like, if I'm like, all right, Jesus, cover me on this one, that's me, casting my burdens onto him. But is it really? Like, are we casting our burdens like if we're still cussing or watching the shows that we feel convicted by, or still going out and partying, or maybe staying in that relationship that you feel like is not, allowing you to be your best version of yourself? So kind of those like checkpoints that you can make with yourself, when you're thinking about, okay, what are my burdens, and listing those out of, okay, this is a burden for me. This is the way it makes me feel. And this is how I'm going to rely on God. So in order to know like what that falls in, you want to make sure it aligns with your calling. Everyone is unique. Everyone has a different calling. Unfortunately, my calling was not to get on stage and sing worship songs, even though I just would love to get up there and belt it. But God did not give me that calling. I do feel like he gave me the calling of teaching and talking, and which is why I'm here. So does it align with the spiritual gifts he's given you? Does it bring you inner peace and rest? And I noted to listen to your convictions. I think we know a lot of times, especially if you're walking with the Lord, he gives us a little tug on our heart. Like, when you feel like you're somewhere you're not supposed to be, it's not bringing you that inner peace and rest. So that may be a sign that this is a burden you should cast. Does it produce growth without breaking you? So we've said it before, this journey with God is not easy. It's so hard. It's something we have to choose every day. But it's not going to break you. He gives us the strength in order to do it. He gives us the tools in order to be able to do it. But when we try to do things on our own, or maybe it's not the right fit or not the right path, it breaks you in the sense of you don't have any peace. You are stressed. You can't sleep at night. Your thoughts are just constantly racing. You have no inner peace. You're not having like that normal joy that you should have day to day. And is it relational? We work best when we're with others, when we're sharing our load with other followers of Christ. So are your burdens something that you're taking on that you could share with others and help them take that off of you? One of the things that I have focused on recently is my financial burden. Like I've said before, I'm a control freak and I want to be in control. I want to make all the decisions, and I'm very independent, which is all really good things for most of the time, but it can also be a bad thing. And I'm a spender. I love to swipe that card, honey. And I have just been overwhelmed and stressed with our finances because I want to get to a place where we are debt free and that we can give back and do all the things that we want to do and provide a great life for our family. And, I have just learned that it ain't the me. I ain't the saver. So I have made the decision this year to give over all financial responsibility to my husband, which just means he's in charge of paying the bills. And before I spend ridiculous amounts of money, I'm going to ask him, whereas before I would just do it and then be like, so I did something today. And so I'm trying to give that over to him, not only to take a burden off myself, but to also practice letting him be the leader of the household and to let go of some of that control, because I realize that it's a negative to me. And so that's just one example. There's so many things that you can look at. But just write those down, like over the week. Think about it. Be like, what do I feel like is a burden? How is it making me feel? What is it bringing to my life? What is it adding to my life? And then pray about it and try to get those things over to the Lord. Just remember that comparison is the thief of joy, and our world is full of comparison. It's what we do every day when we're scrolling on our phones constantly. It is so hard to get wrapped up in it and to feel like you're not good enough, but God made you exactly the way He wanted you to be made, and He knows exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to take on this journey. And we just have to choose Him. So are we not only choosing sunshine in our soul today, we're also going to choose our custom yoke that He has made for us. And we're going to say, Jesus, I give this to you, and I want to take up your yoke, and I want to cast my burdens onto you so that I will no longer be weary. So I hope that resonates with you. If you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. I love hearing some feedback from you guys. I really appreciate it. And it makes me feel like I am doing some good in this world. And so I hope y'all have a great rest of your night and a wonderful week. Love y'all. Bye.